most distinguishing feature on this ride is the interlocking loops. This is the only ride in the world left that has interlocking loops. This is also the most photographed ride in the world. Because of the great setting that we have here, the Italy Bridge down there is really the most popular place to take pictures. So you'll be able to see that later when you walk through the park. There are some unique things about this ride and things that distinguish it from this ride compared to Griffon and Alpengeist. One of the biggest ones is the way this track was made. This was actually handmade, and those were made by computers with laser guided. One of the other differences is these track pieces you can see are actually welded together. They're not bolted together. So if you look on the ribs of the track, you can see that everything's welded together. If you look at those at these two rides, at Alpengeist and at Griffon, you'll see huge steel bolts. All these tracks come to us in a bunch of pieces. Those are just bolted together. These were welded together. One of the other unique things about this ride that not a lot of people know is this last turn here. When it came to the park, it was actually bent to the left, which was a problem because the train would have ended up in the river. So they actually bent it on site and moved it so that it could bend to the right. Also, that's one of the other unique things about this ride. This ride, the lift is 130 feet from there to the river, and the drop is 114 feet and 2 inches. Is there anything else that we have to add? One of the other things too that we really like to talk about, especially with this ride, is the scenery that we have in this park. When we're building rides, we not only look at what type of ride we want, but how we can use the land that we have here. This is a beautiful park. This has been voted the most beautiful theme park in the world 18 years in a row. So we want to use that when we build our rides, which is why you can see we use the river here. We use this great setting to be able to come down here and see this ride as well. So, are there any questions? There's some other things we're going to talk about too, but any questions about Loch Ness at all? One of the other things you can notice from the track, we'll talk about this more when we go in the maintenance bay too, is that each train has 3 sets of wheels. The unique thing about this ride is the only one in our park where one of the sets of wheels actually rides on the inside of the track. One set of wheels rides on the top, one set of wheels is on the inside, and one set of wheels is on the bottom. The difference is with these 2 rides and all the other rides in our park, the wheels ride on the top, on the outside, and on the bottom. So it'll be easier to see when we go into the maintenance bay. We'll show you that too. Do you have anything else to add down here, Zach? I'm trying to think.
Are there any questions?
Anything else? Yeah. Any questions at all while we're down here?
Anybody know how long the track is?
That's harder to guess than how
3,200 something.
Very close.
Yeah, you're really close.
3,240 feet. Like Josh said, the track came in and was turned the wrong way. It was about 6 feet off. So they actually brought the track down to the ground, they heated it up and bent it into place. Everything here was handmade. Everything here was designed with slide rules. There weren't a lot of computers around in the 70s that were powerful enough to do things like this. Everything on the B&Ms, the newer coasters, was computer designed. So that's one of the main differences between the two, as well as a lot of advances in technology. We're constantly upgrading even our older coasters here at the park. We'll talk about one major upgrade here at Loch Ness when we go up the hill. Who's this made by? Aerodynamics. They actually went through 3 different names: Aerodynamics, Aero Development, and Aero Hus. We actually had, at the time, we had 3 rides from them, and each one was made by a different name. Aero Development was this one, I believe, and Aerodynamics was Wolf. One thing we didn't mention. This ride in Wolf was designed by the same people that designed the original steel coaster back in 1959. So that's kind of interesting. We also had other Busch parks before Busch Gardens Tampa. None of them contained rides. They were strictly gardens. They were built by August Busch II. One of them was in Pasadena, California. So we had 2 other parks before that, but they weren't open to the public. They were just strictly gardens. And distinguished guests were allowed to come to those parks. Tampa's the first park that we actually allowed the public to come into, and it was free admission when it opened. Any other questions? All right, let's head up the hill.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, Hi everybody, this is John.
Hello.
One of our maintenance guys who works on Loch Ness, and he'll be able to tell you anything you want to know about maintenance. I'm just going to start with a few different things, and then if you have more questions, you can either ask me, Zach, Ryan, or John would be happy to help too. So this is the maintenance bay in Loch Ness. You can see there's two separate tracks down here. This, you know, it doesn't look like it, is a roller coaster train, or at least part of one. What it is this ride, we actually have 4 trains, but we can only run 3 at one time. So we always have one that's out for maintenance that maintenance is working on. So that's what this is. One of the things that I definitely wanted to show you when we came down here is the different wheels that I was talking about on the track. So you can come closer. This is a good example of 2 different kinds of wheels and what maintenance does and how we know if there's wear on a wheel or not. These 2 wheels are the same thing. These are both road wheels, and they actually run on top of the track like this. These will be up here on top of the track. So you can see this is completely flat. This surface is flat. This wheel has obviously been worn down. So maintenance would be able to know that we need to replace. This is a measuring device used for the wheels. This is the wrong size for this one, but if this can fit around here, that means this is a bad wheel. So it's worn down too far, we need to get a new one. This one, you can see it's used, but it still fits. So this wheel is still okay. One of the big differences that you'll see when we go to the B&M rides, when we go to Griffin next, the wheels already on Griffin are concave like this. They come like that. These wheels come flat. So, and then these wheels, are these upstop or? Yeah, guide wheels. The guide wheels, they actually go on the inside of the track. So they would go right here. This is the only ride in the park where they ride on the inside. All the other ones, right out here. The upstop wheels, we have an upstop wheel out here. Same size, yeah. The upstop wheel will go right here. This rides under the track, make sure the train doesn't fall.